Welcome to the Alpha Training and Consulting's online training program. Today I'm going to answer the question, what is a two-tailed test versus a one-tailed test? All right, and this has to do with hypothesis tests or inference studies. Remember why we use inference studies? To see if there is a statistically significant difference between the average or standard deviations. Okay, and some of these tests are going to be one-tailed tests, some are two-tailed tests. And so remember, we have two statistics we're looking at. We have the alpha risk and the p-value. Alpha risk is the risk you're willing to take. The p-value is the actual risk you're taking. And so what happens is if you have a one-tailed test, you will use the full alpha risk, which is usually 5%. If it's a two-tailed test, you'll use the alpha risk of half the 5%, which would be 2.5% in your study. So if it's a two-tail, you'd use, even though it says an alpha risk of 5%, you'll use 2.5. If it's a one-tailed test and your alpha risk 5%, you'll use 5% in your test. Why? Because a one-tailed test, you can use all the risk in just one tail. If it's a two-tailed test, you have to split the risk up into two equal sections. So that's a summary of what I'm about to tell you. Let's get started now. If you are only interested if a population average or standard deviation is greater than another population average or standard deviation, or only that it is less than. So you're only interested if it's greater than or only that it's less than, then you will use the z-critical from what we refer to as a one-tailed test. So it's all about keywords. Greater than, one-tailed test. Less than, one-tailed test. Okay. For a one-tailed test, we look up 5% for a 95% confidence level from the main body of the z-table. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just saying when you do a one-tailed test, you use the full alpha risk in the study. Okay. And so here's a one-tailed test for a greater than, let's say. It could be less than also, but you use the full 5%. If it's a two-tailed test, then you split the risk up. You use 2.5% for the upper side, greater than, and 2.5% for lesser than. And so you use half the alpha risk in the study if it's two-tailed test. One-tailed test, use the full alpha risk. And I just drew it out here to help you understand. We discussed greater than, a one-tailed test. Look at this, keywords for one-tailed tests. It's all about keywords. I want to know if distribution 1 is greater than distribution 2. Could be average or standard deviation. Or I want to know if distribution 1 is less than distribution 2. Notice these are both one-tailed. These are the keywords for a one-tailed test. Well, I haven't discussed the keyword for a two-tailed test. Let's do that now. Keywords for a two-tailed test. I want to know if there is a difference between distribution 1 and distribution 2. Okay, just a difference. Greater than, less than, one-tailed. Difference, two-tailed. Could be greater than, could be less than, I don't care. I just want to know if there's a difference. That's a two-tailed test. You'll only use half the alpha risk in this study. Okay, there's some pictures for you. Scenario 1, distribution 1 is greater than distribution 2. Scenario 2, distribution 1 is less than distribution 2. Those are both one-tailed. Here's your two-tailed test. I'm doing both scenarios this time. So I'm going to do 2.5% for each one. Keywords for a two-tailed test. I want to know if there's a difference between distribution 1 and distribution 2. All right, hopefully that was helpful. If it was helpful at all, please give me a like. I'd appreciate that on this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible, of course. Remember, we teach ASQ certification preparation exams, and we'd love to have you as one of our students. Here are all the various websites for our different classes, or you can go to the main website and go from there. But check which class you want, write down that website and check it out. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for joining me in this short lecture. Hopefully you learned something new, and wish you a happy day. Goodbye. All right, there you go. We finished that lecture. Hopefully you learned something there. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And also, keep us in mind for any of your ASQ certification preparation needs. And I have a website for our various classes here. And for example, CQE is www.asqcque.com. If you're interested in any of these other classes, please take a screenshot and go to that later and learn more about that class. We'd appreciate your consideration. Thank you, and have a great day. Goodbye.